Rain hammered against the cracked pavement as she ran, clutching her worn tote bag close to her chest. Every step felt heavier than the last, not because of the rain or the wind, but because of the weight of the world she carried alone. Her name was Maya, a single mother, exhausted yet unwavering, trying to get her little son home before nightfall. She never imagined that a single act of compassion that evening would change everything. And yet, in ways she couldn't yet see, it would almost ruin her. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, if you believe that the smallest act can ripple through someone's life, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Ripple of Kindness now. Maya's life had always been a tightrope walk over a pit of uncertainty. She worked at a small, unremarkable office in the city, performing the kind of administrative tasks most people barely noticed, let alone thanked her for. Her days were measured in coffee breaks she didn't have time to enjoy, phone calls that tested her patience, and the relentless hum of a photocopier that seemed to mock her exhaustion. At home, it was no different. Her son, little Ethan, was 6 years old with wide, curious eyes that demanded attention and love she sometimes felt too tired to give. Bills were piling up, the rent was overdue, and every unexpected expense felt like a crushing blow. Yet through it all, Maya's heart refused to harden. That evening, as the rain poured down, she noticed a man struggling with a collapsed umbrella outside a small cafe. His coat was soaked through, his briefcase dragging in the puddle as he fumbled with his phone, clearly flustered. Most people would have walked past, thinking him just another stranger in a storm. But Maya didn't hesitate. She ran across the street, ignoring the honking cars, and helped him upright the umbrella. She offered a warm smile and a towel from her tote. He looked at her, startled, as if he hadn't expected kindness in the world. The gratitude in his eyes was brief but profound. She didn't know it then, but this man, drenched and flustered, was none other than Victor Hayes, the billionaire CEO who owned the very company where she worked, though in the rarest disguise. The next morning the office was cold and silent when Maya arrived. Her manager summoned her to the cramped corner office, the one lined with dull beige walls and stacks of paperwork. The words that came next were like a punch to the chest. She was fired. The reason was vague but damning: distraction from company policies and failure to prioritize tasks. Maya felt numb. It was hard enough to survive, let alone now, without the meager salary that kept her son fed and clothed. The injustice burned, yet what stung more was the helplessness of knowing she had done nothing wrong, only what she believed was right. Walking home through the drizzle, tears blurred her vision. Every step echoed with worry and fear. How would she pay the rent this month? How would she explain to Ethan that Mommy's job was gone? She had always told him that kindness mattered, that helping others, even strangers, was never wasted. Yet now, that very principle had cost her everything. She curled up on the small sofa in their cramped apartment, Ethan asleep beside her, and let herself feel the depth of despair she had kept at bay for so long. Days passed and Maya struggled to find temporary work. Temp agencies were overrun, and her resume, though solid, offered no magic escape from her predicament. Bills accumulated, phone calls from creditors became a daily torment, and the exhaustion was no longer just physical, it gnawed at her soul. But even in this darkness, Maya refused to let her spirit break. She volunteered at the local shelter whenever she could, using her meager energy to help those who were worse off. Every small smile she brought to someone's face reminded her of the ripple effect of kindness, the unseen ways that compassion returned to those who gave it freely. One rainy afternoon, as she delivered warm blankets and sandwiches to a shelter, the man from the night she had helped appeared again. He was no longer just a stranger. This time he removed his hood and smiled directly at her. Recognition dawned in her eyes. Victor Hayes, the billionaire. She had helped him unknowingly when he had been dressed as anyone else. Her heart pounded, a mix of fear, disbelief, and awe. Victor didn't speak immediately. He watched her interact with the children, the elderly, and the struggling families. He observed her patience, her warmth, and her unwavering sense of dignity despite her hardships. For days, he followed from a distance, witnessing her life, her struggles, and her courage. He saw the countless small sacrifices she made for Ethan, the determination to keep hope alive even when the world seemed determined to crush her. It was more than just an act of kindness. It was a life led with integrity and love. Finally, Victor approached her formally at the shelter, this time not in disguise. He offered her a position, one she never could have imagined. Not just a job, but a role where her voice mattered, her insight was valued, and her efforts would be recognized. Tears streamed down Maya's face as she accepted, not for the money, not for the stability, but for the validation that sometimes good deeds do not go unnoticed. She realized that in the darkest moments, when the world seemed to punish her for doing the right thing, the universe had its way of balancing the scales. As Maya stepped into her new role, she found not just financial security but renewed self-worth. Ethan no longer had to fear his mother's exhaustion, and their apartment, once gray and oppressive, now glimmered with hope. The ripple of kindness she had extended into the world had come back to her in ways more profound than she could have imagined. She understood, finally, that every small act of compassion, every selfless decision, could have monumental consequences. Months later, Maya shared her story publicly at an event organized by Victor, now aware of how far her journey had taken her. Her story touched hundreds, perhaps thousands, inspiring them to act with empathy and courage in their own lives. The crowd was silent as she spoke, every word steeped in emotion, every detail a testament to perseverance and the enduring power of kindness. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe that goodness and courage are never wasted, please engage with this video. Like, comment, share, and let the world know that even in the harshest moments, humanity can shine through. Before you go, I'd love it if you shared in the comments how a small act of kindness changed your life or someone else's. Let's create a chain of inspiration together.